Advertisers are in the business of catching people's attention, and they'll sometimes fall back on jarring, unsettling, or just plain weird imagery to accomplish this. Sometimes it works because marketers are paid professionals, and many of them are great at their jobs. Sometimes it doesn't. And while it's safe to say that marketing is an inexact science, it's also safe to say that some of the people behind certain ad campaigns are dangerously insane and shouldn't be allowed within 10 feet of anything. So today, we're going over 16 insanely creepy product mascots that should have never been.
Cross-leg guy. People seem to either love or hate Crocs shoes, but their 2011 ad campaign did them no favors with either set. It featured print and street advertisements with a creepy, green, anthropomorphic croc named Crosslight for some reason, and its appearance alone was unsettling enough. But the ad campaign with the tagline, "Feel the Love," drove home its point about how Crocs just love your feet by depicting these somehow sticky-looking green gremlins crawling all over women's feet like giant fungus while wearing a sleazily sexual expression. The campaign was not a success. Perhaps it was because of the terror. We're thinking it was the overt sexual terror.
Fake Fake from Fig Newton. This series of ads from the 70s feature an aggressively jovial fat man in a fig costume, dancing in a way that can only be described as hurtful, speaking about Fig Newtons. The image is unsettling enough on its own, as in the spots where Figman just twitches about on a backlit stage. But a second spot really got the drop on young viewers. A boy comes home from school and asks his mom if there's any cookies. As mom goes for the closet, Figman pops out and scares the shit out of her. Look at that expression on her face. And during his entire performance, her face registers nothing more than, what the fuck was this obviously pedophile man doing in my pantry? And how long was he there for?
Wrap the inside and the outside is a good darn suit. Showing the big booty shake. Here's the tricky part. The big booty shake. One more time. The big shake. Newton.
The Jolly Green Giant. Many viewers are probably vaguely familiar with the Jolly Green Giant as a distant, looming, Santa Claus quoting pea mascot from old commercials. What you may not know is that in even older commercials, the Green Giant was less of a friendly presence and more of a goddamn nightmare. In these old black and white spots, the announcer will extol the virtues of peas and corn as the camera pans over a meadow. Then, this thing appears. We don't care if it's supposed to be smiling and waving. Like all its motions, the wave is stiff and unnatural, and that's not a smile, it's a fucking leer. This is why a generation of children grew up having to be literally forced into eating vegetables.
Domino's Noid. You may remember the Noid, ruiner of pizzas, from old Domino's pizza commercials of the 80s and 90s. You might have found his claymation antics and shrill nonsense utterings a little bit creepy, and we certainly did. But did you ever wonder why Domino's stopped using this mascot? In 1989, a man named Kenneth Lamar Noid held employees of an Atlantic Domino's hostage for 5 hours. Being mentally ill, Kenneth believed that the ad campaign was a personal attack on him, since they both share the name Noid. At any rate, Kenneth spent 3 months institutionalized before committing suicide in 1995.
Enzyte's Smiling Bob. Enzyte is one of those all-natural male enhancement pills that are made out of bullshit and shame. In this inspired ad campaign, we get Smiling Bob. We're supposed to think Bob is smiling because his stuff works again thanks to Enzyte. But no, we're pretty sure Bob is smiling because he just killed 6 of his neighbors, ran over a dog on the way to work, and he's now thinking about how he'll spend his workday shopping for child slaves on the dark web. We always knew these pills were a scam, but now we know it's much more sinister than we thought. And also, who's behind it? The fucking Joker.
Midas Golden Hand. Midas Mufflers is named that way because of King Midas' golden touch, which would actually be a good horror show if you think about it. So, some genius ad executive conceived of a recent campaign featuring a floating, talking golden hand. Now, if this apparition appeared to any one of us, not one word would be out of our mouth before we ejected ourselves from the car's windshield and ran away screaming until our hearts exploded. But not these people. They like the creepy floating hand. They love the hand. Why? Because they're on drugs. Look at them. They're in some nightmare dystopia where the lawns are trimmed, the floating hands offer wise counsel, and you must take all of the drugs.
Grobbleduck of Smith's Chips. This campaign from overseas for Smith's Chips seems like it would have had the opposite of the intended effect. After all, if a stout, ugly little monster with blinding super speed was obsessed with our favorite chips, we'd probably just find another brand. But for 10 years, this freaky little imp called the Grabbledock harassed and startled consumers out of their Smith's chips while nobody did a damn thing about it. This ad campaign seems like enough to put some people off of potato chips entirely, but it originated from Australia, where they love horrifying things, so it was highly successful.
Dairy Queen lips. For years, Dairy Queen ran spots featuring a set of disembodied, floating CGI lips placed into Fox comical CGI situations while going off about how awesome Dairy Queen's food is. Even though, come on, the food is the last reason why any of us go to Dairy Queen. I personally like the banana splits a lot. The voice is inoffensive, and the tone is pretty upbeat. So we can't put a finger about why this freaks us out so much. It could be the oddly accurate expressiveness of the shiny, impossible CGI creation, a dash of uncanny valley weirdness that seems inappropriate to selling fast food, or just inappropriate in general. I don't want to look at this thing anymore, just move on. Number 8.
Digger from Lamisil. It's tough to make a commercial about fungal nail infections without grossing out viewers. The phrase fungal nail infection is gross, so you don't have to actively try harder to gross them out even more. Lamisil marketing execs skipped class the day this was discussed. We assume they cover that, but look at this thing. Give it a little more texture, drench it in shadows, and you've got the antagonist of the next 6 installment horror franchise, and now it's peeling back some guy's goddamn toenail, squirming up under there, and several viewers with very specific phobias are just fainting the fuck away. People with nail infections don't need to see this. Nobody needs to see this. We're thinking those marketing people skipped class all the time because they were drunk and mean.
The first Ronald McDonald. McDonald's has its ups and downs when it comes to advertising, and its first crack at Ronald McDonald was not so much iconic mascot as it is just straight up horror. With glazed dinner plate eyes and a plastered-on smile, it tells an off-screen narrator who wants to introduce him to the kids that they've already met, at which point every kid watching screamed, "What the hell is that?" It goes on about McDonald's burgers while stiffly articulating weird alien gestures, ending by threatening young viewers that it wants to, quote-unquote, have lots of fun with them before lurching off across the parking lots and into their nightmares. This incarnation of Ronald McDonald didn't last very long, which we know because the franchise continued to exist.
Happy from McDonald's. Wait, them again. Nearly 50 years and 0 lessons learned later, McDonald's introduced its newest mascot for its kids' meals, Happy, the anthropomorphic talking Happy Meal box with serial killer eyes and human teeth. Introduced on Twitter, this image prompted the exact response you would expect, with the consensus split between "what the fuck is that?" and gibberish posts made through tears of sheer trauma. Whoever thought this was an appropriate mascot to sell food to children obviously misheard marketing as shark hunting in a crucial conversation with a college counselor. Whoever designed this atrocity shouldn't be let anywhere near children or a media platform of any kind, but we'll bet they could kill the shit out of a shark.
The original Michelin Man. The Michelin Man is the oldest creation on this list, debuting in an 1898 cartoon that looks about right, considering the time. And by the way, that translates to, "Cheers, the Michelin tire drinks up obstacles." Nothing wrong here, until somebody had the bright idea to try to bring this mascot to life, to appear at trade shows and the like. The result looked like this. And if this image makes you squirm a little, just imagine what the people in those costumes felt like. They looked like restraint-based torture devices, and the concerned looks of the people in the background do nothing to contradict that impression. It's fortunate that the mascot soon became completely animated, or Michelin may have long ago had to shift from making tires to making bondage gear.
Quiznos Sponge Monkeys. In 2004, Quiznos subs made me, personally, stop eating their sandwiches forever, and I really like them. Attention grabbing is one thing, edgy and weird is another. Well, 2 more things, but the Sponge Monkey advertising campaign is a full frontal assault on the viewer's sanity. If these awful, shrill, corrupt things that should not be love these subs, which they do, listen.
We love you, son!
touch one again as long as they live. They bounce, they float, they pop in and out of existence and won't stop singing about subs in that fucking voice that splinters your soul like Voldemort. This isn't ill-advised or a marketing misfire. This is evil, demonic madness, and whoever created it, we should all just be glad that their plot was apparently foiled and hell hasn't come to reign on Earth for 1,000 years.
Crinkles the Clown. In the 1960s, Sugar Rice Crinkle cereal debuted their standard clown mascot, failing to work out a few of the design kinks. For one thing, the clown makeup seems like it was applied by Crinkles the Clown himself, without using a mirror, which is kind of disturbing. For another, those eyes. We're not sure what it is about old-time clown mascots and their psychotic-ass eyes, but it just gets worse as the spot goes on.
It's so good, I crinkle every time I eat it. Yeah.
We could almost swear that Crinkles is being coerced. Perhaps his family is being held off screen, or there is a gun pointed at his balls, or something definitely just isn't right. The unsettling character was featured on the Sugar Rice Crinkles box as well, but that rendering wasn't nearly as scary. Holy shit. Sorry we lied, it's way scarier.
Lemonhead mascot. Lemonhead candy's great. You probably get some at the movie theater from time to time. It's the kind of thing that hardly even needs to be advertised. But if you're going to make people want to run out and buy some Lemonheads, how about an ad campaign with an actual lemon-headed man? How about it? Does looking at this unholy monster make you want to eat all the Lemonheads right now? And that's not all. You can follow him on social media. His Twitter bio is, "Hey, my head is a lemon, hit me up." And be subjected to weird and creepy videos and tweets from this soulless thing you already wish you'd never seen.
What if Lemonhead was a living, breathing, everyday dude? A living, breathing, everyday dude whose head happens to be a giant freaking lemon.
If they had to use this in an advertising campaign, they missed the obvious angle. Go buy Lemonheads, or we send this to your house at midnight.
Kinder mascots. Finally, German candy maker Kinder decided in the 1980s to advertise their chocolate eggs by brutally violating the fragile psyches of children everywhere. And we don't know what the hell this thing is, or what it's supposed to be, or what it's saying, because it speaks some kind of perverted Smilish that only makes sense to those whose minds are already hopelessly broken. But it sure is happy and excited, and you can tell because it's talking louder and faster and higher, and it's getting all worked up. And we're pretty sure that's because it knows you'll never sleep right again, which is probably the only reason for its entire existence. Well, that and to sell chocolate eggs.